Good
Good
afternoon.
afternoon.
Good afternoon, Judge. Good afternoon. This is Judge Alyssa Perez presiding over the 210th District Court criminal docket for January 3rd, 2023. All matters being heard today are being heard in accordance with all emergency orders and directives regarding COVID-19. In addition to that, we are streaming all matters live via YouTube for public viewing. Madufo, would you call our first case, please?
Bottom of the page, Judge, in cause number 2021-0D02736, State of Texas versus Jose Abraham Watts. Announcement of council, please.
Samantha Rugg on behalf of the state. Seats ready, Your Honor.
Alyssa on behalf of Mr. Watts, Your Honor. We're ready.
Good afternoon, and Mr. Watts is appearing from the downtown jail. We are scheduled today for amended motion for reconsideration of the bond. I see the amended motion was filed today, Ms. Solis. You may proceed on your motion.
Yes, Your Honor. Your Honor, my client has been detained since November the 27th, so he's been there roughly over a month. He's currently detained on some new cases in which I filed a motion for examining trial on the felony case, and that's set for another, I believe, 2 weeks. And on the misdemeanor cases, non-prosecution statements were submitted, but I know those are still in the P-file stage. Judge, I originally filed a motion for reconsideration on December the 22nd because my client did have a incident where he suffers from seizures and he was taken to UMC. And the physician actually said that he needed to get evaluated further because he was in poor condition and he was not stable to be at the jail. He was returned to custody. I know on December the 13th, a bond hearing was heard, and I understand that the court denied the bond, and I believe the court wanted to get a better status as to where these new cases were, and he wasn't scheduled until February. So, Judge, since he's been incarcerated, I filed the first amended motion this morning, only because my client's already had 4 incidents where he's been taken to the hospital because of the seizures, and he's still not stable. He had another seizure yesterday. However, he refused to go to the doctor because he did not want to miss the hearing. I've been in contact with his family throughout this whole holiday season, and they indicated to me that on one of the instances, he actually urinated himself and he defecated and he was left there for about 2 hours, Judge. This is just getting really bad. Your Honor, he needs to basically go see his neurologist specialist because my understanding is he is taking medication right now. However, it's not the correct medication. And I'm just thinking 5 seizures within a 30-month period. I'm really concerned for my client's health. And Your Honor, I did attach some copies of the where he was released from UMC to my first amended motion. Also, the non-prosecution statements, as I mentioned, have been filed on the 2 pending cases, but the assault on a public servant and attempt to take weapon from officer, I filed that motion for examining, and I believe that's set on the 26th, Your Honor. So at this time, I'd respectfully request a bond, Your Honor. I know his probation is set to term until 2024, so he still has time. My understanding is that he has been compliant. I understand the new charges, but they are pending. But my understanding is that he did attend the drug counseling that he was given, and I believe he paid all of the fines and fees. And Your Honor, there's one other issue, which I'm sure the court is aware. My client owns a business, a bike shop, Knucklehead Bike Shop, and he's the only owner. He has a lot of bikes in his custody that he was doing repairs on, and my fear is I don't want him to have any more complaints or future charges because of the fact that he can't fix them right now. He's been detained.
What kind of resources does your client have towards a bond?
Your Honor, we'd respectfully request a $5,000 surety bond, and just so the court knows, he will reside with his sister. And I've met with his sister and his brothers. He has a stable family here, but he'd be residing at 316 Edith in El Paso, Texas. And as I said, he will be residing with his sister.
Is that everything, Ms. Solis?
It is, Your Honor.
Thank you very much. Ms. Rago?
Yes, Your Honor. To begin with, the pending case, it's an assault on a public servant and an attempt to take a weapon from an officer. So this defendant, he was taken to UMC. There was a nurse. He was attempting to grab her breast. The officer said, "You can't do that." then tried to grab another individual, but another female nurse as well. At that point, Your Honor, he attempted to take the weapon away from the officer. This incident occurred on 11/28/2022. This was at UMC while they were attempting to get him help medically. This case is currently set. It's for grand jury on 1/4/2023, so tomorrow, Your Honor. This defendant, he does have a lot of criminal history. The convictions, they include a forgery from 1996, which is a state jail. He received 18 months. A UUB from 1998, it was a state jail.
Let me, I don't mean to interrupt, Ms. Alyssa. I don't know if you've heard, but I know from the previous hearing and from reviewing the PSR, I've reviewed the extensive criminal history from Mr. Watts. And of course, the court is very familiar with Mr. Watts through all of the pending cases that resulted in a plea on the case for which he's currently on probation, and many dismissals he received at the time of that plea. And lo and behold, for whatever reason, Ms. Elise, your client continues to pick up family violence cases. And now he's, of course, got the 2 new felony cases. And I know what you're telling me about the non-process. That was I think the basis for a lot of the dismissals in his other cases. So let me, before I come back to Ms. Elise, let me just, I just wanted, because if we start doing the criminal history, last time I let the prosecutor go through and read it, it takes about 10 minutes. So Ms. Rago, I'll just know that I have the PSR history. What is the state's position on the bond?
Respectfully opposes a bond, Your Honor, based on history and continues to pick up new cases, Your Honor.
Okay. Ms. Elise, go ahead.
Yes, sure. And I do understand what the court is saying in regards to the pending felony cases, Judge. However, due to my client's he suffers from severe traumatic brain injury due to a motorcycle accident, Judge. I can't really say that he's fully coherent or comprehends what's going on when he has these seizures. For him to urinate and defecate himself, Judge, I mean, he's in bad condition. But the fact that he's already had 5 seizures in 30 days is very concerning, and that's why I'm addressing this with the court.
What have you been able to identify? And I don't want to step into any area. That is the area that I want to inquire about, is the treatment that he's receiving at the jail and the adequacy of that.
Your Honor, and I don't want to speak ill of anyone. I just think that my client does need to meet with his specialist who's more familiar with his situation, and just to make sure that he's taking the correct medication, because that was a recommendation when he went to UMC. Obviously, he's having a seizure now, Judge.
Okay, so I'm going to allow, if you are ready to continue, allow you to continue, Miss Elise. I am seeing that. I saw it as it started, and release the jail so that they can, the downtown.
Yes, Your Honor. And that was my concern when I talked to him this morning. He's just not doing well at all, Your Honor. Mm-hmm. I still have the other bonds on the new cases, which I know they haven't been filed yet. I don't know if the court can even address those, Judge, but I have serious concerns for his well-being. So that is what I'm inquiring about. And I don't know to what extent you will know this, because I don't know what you know in terms of his treatment. What I want to know is, without stepping into protected areas, is what's the deficiency? In other words, because what I'm prepared to do, Ms. Elise, is go ahead and bring you all in person. And I want to have somebody here from the jail tell me what they're doing or not doing and how it is deficient from what he should receive on the outside. Because this is what I'm going to tell you on the bond. On the bond, he's got one case here. I can tell you straight up, it's $150,000. $150,000 cash surety. So I don't know that your client will have the financial means to make that bond. And so I am not going to ignore the health concern. So we need to get to working somewhere on that. Okay. If that means we come back on Tuesday and have an in-person hearing and you have more details for the court, if I'm able to make a determination that the jail is not able to handle his health situation, as far as I know sometimes when we have severe health situations with inmates, they will reach out to the court
and say, this has been a situation that's been problematic. As far as I know right now, I have received no communications about their concerns or maybe lack of resources or something unique about your client's health situation. Okay. But what is of great concern is he doesn't follow rules. He didn't follow rules when he was on PR bond. When we had the cases pending, he was showing up on Zoom with the complainant that he was to have no contact with and lying about it. Ms. Alyssa, I'm not deaf to your concerns about your client's health, but he has a long history with this court.
Your Honor,
And the history is not good. Even if I were to kind of set aside his rap sheet. Go ahead.
Your Honor, and I understand his rap sheet, however, that not to disrespect the court, but those cases were resolved in the past, Your Honor. I understand the court's point on this, but my question is, would the court consider possibly just a lower bond so the family can get him out and we can be there in person in a week or whenever the court deems it necessary to have a probation status?
Based on your client's non-compliance and prior criminal history, safety concerns, that is the bond. But I will set you for Tuesday in person at 11 a.m. Mr. Watts will be transported here as long as he is physically, medically capable of being transported. And we can review the health concerns.
I'm sorry, Judge, I'm just writing this down. Tuesday?
Tuesday at 11 a.m. in person. Let me ask Ms. Hernandez, Myrna, have you received any communications, emails regarding Mr. Watts from the jail?
No, ma'am, we have not.
Okay. All righty. Then that's going to be the order, Ms. Solis, but we will see you on Tuesday.
Yes, Your Honor.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Who's next?
Top of the page, Judge. Annex, may we have Manuel Castro?
Yes, sir. He'll be right out.
Thank you.
Mr. Castro, is that you?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. We're going to get started here with your plea. I can hear you, but just please make sure you don't speak any lower in volume. Speak loud enough so we can all hear you. Also, if you can't hear us, let me know so we can go back and repeat anything that you didn't catch, okay?
Okay, Your Honor.
All righty. Thank you. Mr. Marufo, go ahead.
In cause number 2022-0D03647, State of Texas versus Manuel Castro. Announcement of council, please.
Samantha Rogg on behalf of the state. State's ready, Your Honor.
Jose Trochet on behalf of Mr. Manuel Castro, we are ready, Your Honor.
And Mr. Castro is appearing remotely from the jail annex. We are scheduled for a plea today. Mr. Castro, is that your understanding of what we're doing here?
Yes, Your Honor.
Thank you very much. So to get started, I'm going to have to ask you some questions, which means I'm going to swear you in. So would you please raise your right hand? Sir, do you swear or affirm that any testimony you provide will be the truth and the whole truth?
Yes, Your Honor.
Thank you very much. You can put your hand down. Would you please state your name and date of birth for the record?
Manuel Castro Jr., 11/10/1998.
Mr. Castro, as I mentioned, we are scheduled for a plea, so there are documents that you should have reviewed with your attorney, the first of which is marked State Exhibit number 1. Those are the plea papers in this case. Within that document, you're guaranteed certain rights, including the right to remain silent, the right to trial by jury, the right to counsel, the right to confront and cross-examine witnesses, and the right to call witnesses on your behalf and in your defense. Mr. Castro, do you recall reviewing State's Exhibit number 1 with your attorney and signing that document?
Yes, Your Honor.
Did you understand everything contained within that document?
Yes, Your Honor.
Counsel, have you had more than 10 days to prepare a defense in this case?
I have, Your Honor.
And did you explain the plea papers to your client?
I did, Your Honor.
Do you believe he has understood the admonishments, rights, and consequences of giving up these rights by entering his plea today?
Yes, I believe he does. Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Castro, are you satisfied with your attorney's representation of you?
Yes, Your Honor.
And Judge, are you any reason to believe your client is not presently competent to enter his plea?
No reason, Your Honor.
Mr. Castro, have you ever been found mentally incompetent by any court?
No, Your Honor.
Ever been examined by a doctor or psychiatrist who has found you mentally ill?
No, Your Honor.
So based on your testimony, your attorney's representations, and my observations of you, I'm going to find that you are competent to enter your plea today. Sir, are you a U.S. citizen?
Yes, Your Honor.
Where were you born?
Here in El Paso.
In El Paso, Texas?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, so in this case, you're charged with the second-degree felony of aggravated assault with a deadly weapon. Sir, to that charge, what is your plea? Guilty or not guilty?
Not guilty, Your Honor.
Did you say not guilty?
Not guilty.
I can't hear him.
Yeah, could you repeat that slowly?
Not guilty.
Okay, so we're going to take a minute, Judge. In fact, we're going to get off of YouTube so I can allow you to